Hey, Martha, if you were a CMO faced with rebranding after a merger, which is a pretty big task, what do you think are some of the pitfalls that you would need to be aware of?
Well, Alan, there are so many facets to rebranding, from strategy at the high level to tactical things such as signage, website, other digital properties, etc. Fortunately, our guest, Jackie Hooper, shares her experience with the rebranding journey at Cadence Bank. Any CMO about to rebrand needs to listen to what she has to say before they begin their journey.
Oh, I'm sure you're right. And I'm sure some of these lessons may surprise you, including how and why you should craft a sonic brand, which is very interesting. Hello and welcome to Bank Marketing Today by Via. I am Alan Greer, and together with Martha France, we are interviewing bank marketing leaders about current trends, new marketing technologies, branding, and the overall state of the banking industry. We will be joined from time to time by additional co-hosts and experts.
In this episode, we spoke to Jackie Hooper, SVP Chief Marketing Officer at Cadence Bank. We had a wide-ranging discussion on everything from mergers and building consensus when rebranding to the emotional aspect of brand equity and much more. So let's get to it. We hope this episode of Bank Marketing Today helps simplify your marketing tomorrow. Hello, I am Martha France, and I am joined today by my co-host, Alan Greer. And we are truly excited to be talking with Jackie Hooper, SVP Chief Marketing Officer at Cadence Bank. Welcome to the Bank Marketing Today podcast, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we are super excited to talk with you. So thanks for joining us. And wanted to kind of start off just kind of with your background a little bit. I noticed you've been with Cadence Bank for a little bit over 4 years now, so congratulations. And prior to that, you've been with First Tennessee, I think Mountain Commerce Bank and Regions Bank. How did you get into banking in the beginning?
I've worked in financial services marketing for over 20 years now, and I started my career as a marketing intern. When I was in college getting my business administration degree, I knew I wanted to find a role in the marketing space. I just wasn't really sure what industry and where I would land. During my final years of college, our teachers and counselors that we had really stressed the importance of finding an internship and encouraged us to go out and see what was out there, whether it's paid or non-paid. I tried all of the traditional ways at that time of finding a job. That was mailing letters and resumes to companies in the area. We don't do that nowadays, of course. We've got social media, we've got online applications, and lots of digital presence as well. But I'm probably telling you my age with this story, but that was what we did when I was trying to find my first job. What I did after sheer frustration, because I wasn't getting any response that way, I actually pulled out the old school yellow book, the phone book that used to be very thick, sitting in your household, and just went down and looked through the yellow pages and cold called marketing departments and said, I'm looking for a job. I want an internship. And I got 3 interviews in the first week of doing that process. And one of those was at First Tennessee Bank. And that is where I started my marketing career in the financial services marketing space.
Hey, you're out there looking, you got to be creative, especially today, because there are so many avenues to get the word out through social media and everything else. You got to do something a little bit different. So,
yeah, totally.
Getting into that, how you differentiate yourself going into the market, how do you think Cadence Bank differentiates themselves today?
Well, I'm not sure if your listeners are aware. I'm hoping that they are, but if not, in 2021, Bancorp South Bank and Cadence Bank joined forces, and we created a nearly $50 billion bank with more than 400 locations across the South and Texas. With this merger and this integration, our two organizations really provide a good blend of consumer and commercial bank offerings. It was a great match between our organizations. We did not have a lot of overlap in our footprint, but more importantly, the services that we have in our offerings really complemented each other. Bancorp South Bank was very strong in the consumer banking or retail banking space, and Cadence Bank was very, very strong in the commercial banking space. And so we brought the best of both together with creating our new Cadence Bank or our new company. One of the things we were tasked with was developing our new brand and culture. And we wanted to go and find commonalities between our two legacy organizations as we were bringing them together. We did tons of research, quant, qual, across the board. And there were 5 key areas that floated up to the top when we developed and completed all of that research. We learned that both of our organizations were relationship-based, customer-centric, focused on doing what is right, creating a great place to work, and then supporting our communities. I think all of that rings true in addition to having a really good balance of our offerings on both the consumer and the commercial side. It's really the best of both.
But Jackie, as you said, the fact that the two organizations were very complementary, with one being strong in commercial and one being strong in more consumer, seems like that would have had a big impact on your marketing team. So kind of how were you able to bring those two together, and what does your marketing team look like today post-merger?
Our marketing team doubled in size, which was great. Both of our teams were extremely lean, and we just brought both groups together. We doubled in size and we doubled in expertise. And with that, we restructured our team, and now we have 4 strong departments that are rolling up into marketing. We have 2 teams that are focused on working directly with our lines of business and serving as our liaisons between our marketing team and our line of business partners. We have one focused on consumer marketing strategy and programs, and then one that's focused on commercial marketing strategy and programs. Those teams are tasked with coming up with the strategies, the initiatives, and how we might support, from a marketing standpoint, all of our line of business partners. In addition to that, we have our digital marketing and data analytics team. Our digital marketing team also manages things like our owned digital properties, including our website, social media, email marketing platforms, and so much more. Data analytics for us is new areas that were created with bringing our groups together. And so we're working on ramping up our data analytics support from a marketing standpoint, something I'm extremely excited about. Finally, we have our team that manages creative and production. We do a lot of work in-house. I would say maybe about 75 to 80% of our creative work is done in-house. So we wanted to make sure that we have a very strong team with good skill sets from a creative standpoint. So that team manages traditional creative, digital creative for the most part. And then our production group on the traditional marketing side handles things like our brand merchandising, print production, promotional items, and so much more. We do work with vendors frequently to outsource areas where we can't fill in the gaps. And we consider our vendors to be extended partners of our marketing team. We really like to bring them into the fold and make sure that they have a good understanding of what we're doing, and we're all working towards a common goal.
And of course, in addition to just bringing that team together, this merger meant that you had a lot of work to do as far as creating a new brand. And I saw that your new brand was honored with a Transform Award. So congratulations on that. Can you tell us the story of how you developed the new branding?
The journey to develop our new brand started about 18, maybe 20 months ago now. It was in April 2021 with the announcement of bringing our two companies together, Bancorp South and Cadence Bank. We were one of the first project teams that was established after that announcement, because we know that there's a lot of work that goes into rebranding and development. Our team was charged with developing and launching the new brand and cultural elements for our company. And one of the requirements that we had is we needed to figure out how to bring together the legacy brands from our organization and to make recommendations on what we wanted to do as a new organization going forward. To get started with that journey, after we developed really our strategy and plan of what we wanted to do, we turned to experts. None of us here are experts in the branding space. And we had a pretty rigorous and extensive process to go about in selecting an agency to help us with our branding work. That agency that we selected was Tenant Partners. And they have a lot of expertise in helping mid-sized companies like ours develop new brands. But we evaluated a lot of companies, I think maybe over 20 or 25 in total, before we landed on the one that we wanted to work with. Our agency guided us through our process because they have tried and true methods of what has worked in helping companies establish their new brands. We started with a lot of research. Quant, qual, trying to assess the current state of both of our legacy brands and organizations. One thing that became very, very apparent during that stage and during the creative process was the emotional attachment to our legacy brands. It was extremely strong. We have some of those brands that were around for 25 years. And so they've been in the market. People know them. They love either the color or the design or whatever it is. I say emotional attachment to the logo is what they would always reference when we would ask and get the feedback from customers, but it was really to how they feel about the company themselves and when they walk in to do business with us every day. I really think that that's a testament to the brands themselves. They did their job. They did their work. If you have customers and teammates that have an extremely strong emotional attachment, you know that branding work and whoever was in marketing at that time really did a great job of bringing those brands to fruition and making sure that there was the loyalty that came along with it. So that was a surprise that popped in along the way. Between the quant and qual research, we went into a lot of creative development process. One of the great things about our partner is we work together and directly with them along the stages of the process. So it wasn't just, oh, we meet and then 2 months later we come back and see what your sketches are and your ideas are. It was touch points along the way, sometimes every day, to have a really collaborative process between our agency and our project team. And so we felt that that was really important, that we all work together instead of just turning over the work to an agency to complete. Through all of that, we had a leadership team that approved what we might recommend. And we had to make a lot of tweaks and adjustments and changes along the way. But I really feel like we ended in a good spot. Once we had all that developed, we had our new logo and most of the new brand done by January because we had to develop signage. We had to do a new website. We had to rebrand everything across 9 states and on all of our digital properties. So we had our work cut out for us. Once we had our new foundation, we went into project mode and just turned and burned, got it done.
All of a sudden, I'm feeling very tired. That's a lot of work.
It is.
It's like to get that done in 18 months. It's like, first of all, you need like some kind of medal. And then secondly, there should be like a banking hall of fame because, to get that, that's like when you're talking about all this, it seemed like, a 3-year, 4-year process, but to get it done in 18 months, that's so did you sleep at all?
I reverted back to my sleep patterns of when I was in college. I'd sleep a few hours, work, take a nap, go to school. I reverted back to that methodology for several months. And I got to tell you, when we finished up, it was a huge sigh of relief because I feel like we can get back to some sense of good balance in what we have going on. But interestingly enough, you talk about plans that might take 3 or 4 years to complete. When I dusted off my 5-year roadmap to see where we were as I'm thinking about our strategy going forward and what we want to accomplish, I realized that we accomplished everything that we wanted to in 3.5 years instead of 5. And so apparently this is what it takes. It takes head down, nights, weekends for about 18 months, and you can speed up your production exceptionally fast. It was nice, though, being able to really be given a once in a career opportunity to work on the development of a new brand. I say that if a marketer gets to do that once in their career, they're lucky. If you get to do it twice, it's like you've won the lottery. It's just not something that comes along every day. And a lot of times you may go in your whole marketing career and not have a chance to do something like this. So I am extremely honored and privileged to be able to work with such a talented group of professionals, teammates, and I really appreciate the opportunity from our leadership and having confidence for us to do this.
Leading banks partner with Via to simplify direct marketing and increase the speed of marketing execution. Via's software makes it easy for bank associates across geographies to access and order compliant, locally relevant marketing materials. Our production team streamlines the execution of campaigns across digital and print channels, resulting in a more efficient and effective bank marketing operation. To learn more, visit viasystems.com, and that's VYA systems with an S.com, or request a demo at viasystems.com/bank marketing.
You mentioned earlier about the emotions that you ran into, kind of being surprised by that. And, the fact that your data maybe wasn't enough to do the convincing that you needed it to. So how did you address that situation? How did you overcome the emotions that you're running into to really get everybody to buy into this new beautiful brand?
Our strategy from the start with the development of the new brand was to provide balance and harmony between our legacy organizations. We were trying to find a way to meet in the middle, to be fair, and to base all of our decisions on logic, research, and fact. The emotional element, I knew that we were going to have some, but I was definitely surprised about the level of emotional attachment that came in there. What we did during that process is we toggled some of the brand elements, tweaked a few things here and there to move in one direction or another, and negotiated. Went back and forth, made changes, maybe offered options. We found that works as well. It was definitely a learning process along the way and trying to, find the best fit and to work through that. But doing all of that helped. And then I also think that because we took a long time to develop our brand and then took a while for us to actually launch our brand because you have to have everything in production, I actually think that was a smart approach because it allowed time from when they first see a new logo or they first see a new color or they first hear the tagline for them to accept it, absorb it, to become familiar with it and understand it. I think after doing that, when we finally launch and unveil all of our new branding across our footprint, people are excited. We did lots of internal training too, and that helped really provide the understanding of why colors were selected, why design was selected, and perhaps why we have a Sonic logo.
Yeah, I can see where having that time for people to really kind of get comfortable with it and start to feel like it was their own, that starts to build the pride. And I know you talked about being proud of the work, and certainly you have developed an amazing new brand. What are you most proud of, or what were your proudest moments?
Frankly, I'm proud of all of it. All of our work, all of the output of what we've done, just our new brand in general, our team. I'm particularly proud of our Sonic brand. It's something unique and very different in the financial services industry. And I think it's something that's really starting to set us apart when we think about differentiation in the market, especially from a marketing and advertising standpoint. It's definitely an element that not a lot of our competitors have. And so I'm really excited that we were able to bring that to the table and to do something new and different for our organization. My most proud moment or proudest moment was probably when we unveiled the new logo at the New York Stock Exchange, and we purchased a huge banner to go on the facade of the New York Stock Exchange. And I think it was maybe 72 feet wide by 37 feet tall. It was just huge. We sat outside for a couple hours and we had film over there. We were doing time-lapse videos because it takes a couple hours for them to put everything up. But seeing the banner go up was an extremely proud moment that I have, because that was the time when we technically unveiled to everyone. And then press release goes out and we were invited in to do the ringing of the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. That was a very cool and proud, and probably for me, a once in a career opportunity as well. Lastly, I'm proud every time a person says, I love your new logo. I heard your radio spot on the radio. What is that sound? What is that jingle? What is that that's associated with it? I'm just really excited when I get that positive feedback. And really, that's kind of all that we've been getting.
That sound element is a very unique part of your new branding. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and tell us the story of how you arrived at that sound?
For listeners who may not be aware or know, a Sonic brand is the audio equivalent of a visual brand. And we worked with an agency to develop original composition for our Sonic theme and logo. Some people may refer to it as a jingle. It doesn't necessarily have to be a jingle where you have someone speaking or singing, but it's really music that's meant to be instantly recognizable and something that you could hear over and over again. When we were considering our new brand, we wanted to think about all of the ways that someone can interact with our company and our brand. And it's no longer just what you see. It's no longer just a sign or the logo or the color, or even if we think about cultural elements or messaging like mission, vision, values, or copy that's in, an ad. we wanted to expand that experience and to really think about all of the ways that someone can interact with the brand. And we think that was music. I didn't really know that it was called sonic. I think I called it audio file, audio recording or something when we were pitching and working with agencies. Really, I wanted something that was recognizable that you hear. Every day we spend hours multitasking on phones, on computers, cleaning the house, doing whatever it is. And you may have multiple devices running at once. And sound is a really easy way to get someone's attention and to have something to be instantly recognizable. So our branding agency connected us with the agency called Made Music Studio that helped us develop our new sound. This is something that they do day in and day out. So we embarked upon this journey with them. I had no idea what to expect. At the start of the journey, and they participated in all of our branding work too, by the way. So they had the research, they had the background, they had all of the details, they were a part of the team. But when it came time to develop Sonic, we started with feelings. How do you feel about certain sounds? What does this make you think of? And then gradually, as the foundational elements of the brand started to come to fruition, we started to align our organization with the sound that we wanted to have produced. It took several months as we go through the different stages of the journey, and then they put together several composition options for us to consider. We worked through and narrowed, we had scoring process, and we finally got down to a last two. And while our project team had the vote and our leadership had the final say, for me, the decision was made when I was driving into work on a dark morning. I don't remember, it was maybe 6 a.m. or something. It was very early. And I didn't have the radio on. I didn't have news on or anything. And I found myself humming the one theme and the tune. And it was going over and over in my head. And I thought, well, that's good. I memorized it. It's in my head. I tried to remember the other option when we narrowed it down to two, and I couldn't do it. And so that was this telling point for me of we wanted something memorable. That really is what helped deter my final vote and make sure that I was selecting the right one. So at the end of the day, once we selected our music, went to the studio, they did the composition, recorded, edited. It's fantastic and fabulous. We had different cuts done for radio. We have walk-on music for our executives if they're presenting. We have on-call music if you call our call center. And we have a lot of other things that we're able to offer with Sonic. So I'm extremely proud of it. It's new, it's different, and hopefully you will get to know the tone da-da-da, da-da-da before too long.
I think it's so often overlooked. It's really just not even thought of. And when you talk about all the different ways it can be applied, I think it's just a very smart move.
Think about McDonald's. You may or may not be familiar with the McDonald's sound, da-da-da-da-da. It's just a part of who they are, and it probably has as much recognition as the Golden Arches. And so that's what we are wanting to achieve with our new Cadence sound.
Well, Jackie, let's go ahead and take a listen to your new Sonic brand. I just love it. You guys did such a great job with that. I like how it is so upbeat, but upbeat in a way that appeals across like multiple generations, I think. I love the wood percussion and the voices.
Made Music Studio would be very happy to hear you say that you pick up on the different instruments, because there are so many instruments that came together to make that composition. They would love that.
And then, so you've got that theme. So that was kind of the longer theme. And then you do have just a few notes that you play with the logo. Is that right?
Yeah. So the first part that you heard was our 60-second theme, approximately. I think it's 57 seconds. I can't remember. We usually add a couple seconds on the front and the end. And then we have a 3-second logo. da 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 da. And then from the 60 seconds, we did a cut and we did a podcast for Art and Good Companies podcast. If you go there, you can hear it there. And we did cuts for radio for 15, 30, 60-second radio cuts. We did message on hold music. So when you call into the call center, we did a variation of that music that stretched longer. We did walk-on music for our CEO. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get to use it one day if I'm presenting in something. But really, it was made for him. And there are others that we did not develop yet. For example, if we wanted to have something on Alexa, like say, Alexa, open Cadence Bank, and it would go da-da-da, da-da-da, welcome to Cadence Bank. We also looked at adding it in for our app, which we haven't done yet. And then we just had a ringtone developed. So there's lots of different ways that you can use Sonic, but this is how we are starting with our foundation. My goal was to develop our foundation right out of the gate, and then we can always build on that as we go forward.
I love the ringtone idea. It is just so fresh, and it really makes you feel good. I mean, it makes me happy to listen to it.
We lined up the new visual brand coming together, where the agency, they took their original sketches that they had, and then they kind of wove together to unveil our new brand. But then the music, like the crescendo of where it aligned, when I first saw it, I was like goosebumps. And rarely do I get goosebumps. I do not get excited about anything anymore. The fact that I got excited about this new video and seeing it all come together, and it spurred that. And so we took this video that was created just for launch and we turned it into TV spots, and now it's running all across the board. It's just really unique.
That is so true. It kind of brings back memories when we first started our podcast. Mark, our producer, we went through some music for the intro and all that kind of stuff, and went through some of those same things. So how do you feel emotionally? I'm like, I don't know. It sounds fine. But, then when you start getting into it, it's like, yeah, I think it does make a difference. Just to kind of change things up a little bit, earlier you talked about data and analytics, and how are you using that today, and how do you see you using that going down the path in the future?
So I'm a firm believer in successful marketing is a balance and good blend of art and science. So we've talked a lot today about the art and how we bring together everything that we have. And while some of that art was based on science, for our Cadence marketing team, we've got some work to do, I think, in our analytics space and work on bringing together more of the resources that we need for our data and our analytics. From our team, we're essentially growing our marketing analytics and our marketing data resources. We're working towards being relevant, accurate, and making sure that we have valid data that's coming into our groups for evaluation and can really help drive marketing decisions, including creative, that we can put out in the market and test and determine what's performing well. It's something that we have a lot of work to do, especially since we've brought our two companies together, we've brought our systems together, and now we need to do a whole new evaluation of our data and to figure out how do we use that data in an appropriate way to make sure that it drives marketing decisions in the right direction.
Very interesting. It's such a hot topic these days. And, I think a lot of people are really struggling with data comes from so many sources, and to get it in a congruent fashion where you can, use it as you see fit. It's a big task.
It is.
Especially coming out of a merger.
There's something to be said for having a little bit of a clean slate, or to be able to start to build something from the ground up. And of course, we've got a lot of resources and everything that we want to work with here from a marketing standpoint, but being able to build and develop what you need and what you want to work with, it's really a great opportunity to put things in a good place for us going forward. So while we spent 18 months focusing on brand and the art side, now we need to transition and maybe spend the next 18 months focusing on our data and analytics. I don't know at the same caliber and speed that we put into the new brand development, but I would say that that's going to be a good focus for us going forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, there goes your sleep schedule.
I know. I don't know that I'm going to do that again anytime soon.
Probably a good choice. Another thing to know is too that you have your own podcast called In Good Companies. What can you tell us about that?
So the Cadence Bank podcast is called In Good Companies, as you mentioned, and it's hosted by our corporate communications team. They do an absolutely outstanding job with this podcast. I had the honor of participating in the last 2 episodes where they talked about brand and culture and how we combine and work with brand and culture to develop our new elements for Cadence Bank. Our podcast offers insights for small and medium-sized businesses across a variety of topics. So if you get a chance, I encourage you to go listen and hear all the good work that's coming out of our corporate communications team.
Jackie, with the merger, you're spread across several states now, and how do you balance the centralization of marketing resources with needing to be relevant in all those local markets? I know Gartner had talked about a trend of being centralized, but marketing departments are kind of losing all that local relevance. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we offer here centralized marketing support, although we are spread out geographically with our combined team. We have marketing teammates, or hubs, as I might call them, in Houston, Atlanta, and then Tupelo, Mississippi. We also have people, maybe one person here or there, who are based out of Birmingham, Monroe, Louisiana, Augusta, Georgia, Starkville, Mississippi. We have a variety of people spread across our footprint, which is kind of nice because you can get a little bit of that on the ground, culture and understanding of what's going on across the footprint without having everybody in a centralized, at least physical location. But all of our marketing support is centralized under one area. It's a hard balance, trying to make sure that we can meet the needs of all of our markets across the footprint. And what we try to do, frankly, is segment those markets or the type of customers in the areas that we have across our footprint, in being able to develop templates, toolkits, resources, different things that we can use in different spaces. For example, marketing support that we might provide in a metro area is not going to be exactly the same of the marketing support that we'll provide in a rural area. But we try our best to get ahead of it and to make sure that what we're producing and what we're doing can be used in more than one area. We don't do as many one-off ad hoc requests, perhaps, as maybe organizations have done in the past, or organizations that are a little bit smaller than us. We try to make sure that everything we produce and do can be used in a variety of ways and have a longer shelf life. That's just one way that we try to think about how can we manage this approach of meeting all of the needs of our areas and our markets across the board. From a media standpoint, we do purchase media centrally for the most part in what we do, and we try to have individual approaches when we think about specific markets. We take a look at the background, the detail, the information for that market, and apply the best marketing channels and media spend based on what we're seeing in those markets. So there is a little bit of customization depending on what the market is and what we're seeing and what we're learning. But we do try to template and to be as efficient as possible. And unfortunately, what you find is if you're doing something unique for all markets across the board, you're not being very efficient and effective in what you're doing. But that's our approach. We'll continue to evolve that over time as we continue to grow. But I foresee that we'll continue with our centralized approach for our marketing support.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It is a balance that you're always trying to strike there. Jackie, what are your biggest marketing challenges and how are you addressing them?
Now that our organizations have come together and we have this new brand, we have to figure out what's next. We've spent so long with the entire team focused on new brand, rebranding, conversion, and making sure that we get through that. It's been a while since we focused on strategy or programs. And so we have to rebuild and restart being at a much larger company than we were before. And this is a good thing. I'm very excited about that because it's, again, a chance to wipe the slate a little bit and start fresh and to figure out what do we want to do going forward. But the challenge now is we got to get moving. We took a little breath for a minute, but we got to get all of that done and really establish our new strategic plan for where we want to go as a marketing organization.
Yeah, kind of along with it too. What do you think slows you down?
Process. Process can slow you down pretty easily. We work really hard here to hone our process, make sure that it is as turnkey as possible. Our department works with multiple other departments and working in a highly regulated environment. We have a lot of check marks that we have to do for everything we produce and everything we achieve. And sometimes it makes it challenging to get through all of the layers to make sure that we can get something out the door. We go back to that model that we talked about earlier when we were thinking about how do we work with all the markets or provide that centralized approach. We try to bucket everything, put everything in kits and templates, and really make it easy so we're not duplicating our work. But really, we try to find ways to be as nimble as possible and to establish our process and procedures in the way we need to, but make sure that we balance the need to get things done and to achieve our goals.
Well, Jackie, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I know Alan and I both really enjoyed the discussion, and we wish you continued success at Cadence Bank, and congratulations again on the rebrand.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
was really great speaking with Jackie. As a marketer, I loved hearing about her rebranding journey. It is also a good reminder that people have an emotional tie to a successful brand. You really need to be cognizant of that as you work to evolve a brand.
I couldn't agree more. I also enjoyed learning about her approach to centralization of marketing resources to maintain relevancy in all their local markets. The idea of crafting a sonic brand that you can use for radio and TV spots, as well as on hold music at the call center, I think provides an exciting opportunity for marketers to enhance their branding efforts overall. Thanks to our listeners for joining us. We'd like to invite you to connect with Martha France and myself, Alan Greer, on LinkedIn. Be sure to subscribe and give us a review. We would love to hear from you. If you have any ideas for topics or questions you'd like us to cover in the future, just email us at marketing@viasystems.com. And again, marketing@viasystems.com. Thank you so much.